Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Sunday, June 30th, 2019. This is episode 1605. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Capterra. Find the right tools to make an informed software decision for your business. Visit Capterra's free website at capterra.com/techguy. And by LastPass, the #1 most preferred password manager. Just remember your master password, and LastPass remembers the rest. Visit lastpass.com/twit to learn more. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, and home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, all that jazz, all that rigmarole, the technology that's all around us now, changing our lives in so many unusual ways. You know, they say a fish doesn't know it's in water, right? It just, you know, it's in the world. We don't know we're in technology. It's just now. It's in the world. It's around us in every way, in all sorts of ways. Very important anniversary this weekend on June 29th, 2007. The world changed in a dramatic way. Some people knew it. Others people perhaps didn't. But it was, I don't think anybody anticipated how the world was going to change. Do you know what happened June 29th, 2007, 12 years ago, this weekend? The first iPhone was released. I remember waiting in line at my AT&T store down the road here a piece. I think I didn't wait that long. I think I waited about 6 hours. It was kind of fun because the people in line with me were really cool people. In fact, the two guys in front of me were Googlers. They had come fairly far north, about an hour and a half north, figuring it'd be easier to get an iPhone, a better chance to get an iPhone. They had spent the previous 2 or 3 days overnighting, rewriting the Google Reader, which was now gone, a news reader, so that it would work on the on Safari on the iPhone. And they were very proud of their work. Yeah, it was a struggle, but we did it. I remember that waiting in that line and the excitement of getting that first iPhone. And now, if you look back on it, in fact, I have one. I should pull it out of my museum. It's right behind me. It's thick. It's small. It was missing a lot of things. It didn't have the App Store. Apple hadn't invented the App Store yet. In fact, when Steve Jobs announced the iPhone, he kind of implied that the idea of an App Store was silly, that really all you needed was websites. Everything would be on the web. And I don't know if that was because the App Store wasn't ready and they were planning it, or because he didn't think it needed an App Store. He also didn't think it needed a stylus, which is funny because Apple now makes the Apple Pencil for its iPads. But he said, you know, a stylus, you're going to lose it. It's a bad idea. And we don't want to make an interface you have to sharpen your fingers to use. So we've made a finger interface that we think works really well. I'm looking at Walt Mossberg. He tweeted yesterday about the anniversary. And I'm looking at his first review of the iPhone back in June 26, 2007, in the Wall Street Journal. Walt Mossberg and his partner, Catherine Borit, were, of course, premier journalists. They didn't have to wait in line. They got theirs early. He opens his review. One of the most important trends in personal technology over the past few years has been the evolution of the humble cell phone. I might question the word humble, but okay. The humble cell phone into a true handheld computer, a device able to replicate many of the key functions of a laptop. Apple Computer, whose digital products are hailed for their design and innovation, is jumping into this market with the iPhone, which goes on sale in a few days after months of the most frenzied hype and speculation we've ever seen for a single technology product. Yeah, even then. Even the phone's minimum price is, get ready for this, a hefty $499. Wow. People are already lining up outside Apple stores 3 days ahead of time. We've been testing it for 2 weeks in multiple scenarios. Our verdict, despite some flaws and feature omissions, it didn't even have cut and paste. The iPhone is, on balance, a beautiful and breakthrough handheld computer. I think that was a very astute observation by Mr. Mossberg. It is not a phone. It's a computer. And what it did, and we know that now, what it did that changed the world 12 years ago and has increasingly become a part of our world is it put a full-time internet connection in your pocket, a very powerful computer in your pocket. The current crop of iPhones and Android phones, Samsung phones, and Google phones are really very more powerful than the desktop computers of 12 years ago by far. Pretty remarkable. It has the largest and highest resolution screen of any smartphone we've seen, he said. This was a 4-inch screen. Was it even 4 inches then? Maybe it was even smaller. And the resolution, not so great. And the most internal memory by far. Was it 16 gigs? He complained about the cell phone network, the digital network. That's not changed. That's not changed. Even then, Apple wasn't supporting the fastest network available, the 3G networks that all the companies were offering. It only operated on Edge. I don't know if you remember Edge, but it was slow. Slow. Did have Wi-Fi, so that was kind of key. They talked about logging into Wi-Fi networks at Starbucks and airports and even at Fenway Park in Boston to email pictures during a Red Sox game. The phone is simply beautiful. It's really fun to read this and to look back in time. And price. $499 base model comes with 4 gigabytes. Oh, it wasn't a lot of storage. The $599, 8 gigabytes. Wow. The iPhone now starts at 128 gigabytes, just to be clear. Voice quality was good but not great. Turned out nobody cared. It's not about the calls, is it? It's not about the calls. And, here we are 12 years later, and one thing about the iPhone that has stayed consistent for 12 years is the fact that you plug it into your computer and you sync with iTunes, right? Although increasingly Apple's moving to syncing via Wi-Fi, but still with iTunes. That's about to change. In September, Apple will release its new operating system, OS X Catalina, and will no longer require iTunes. In fact, iTunes won't even be on the computer. It'll be a music app, a podcast app, a TV app, but no iTunes. And in fact, the syncing will be built into the operating system. So that's going to change. This has been 12 years isn't a long time in the scope of things. And that's a pretty remarkable invention. I don't think we really understood how it was going to change society. Now you see just people walking around all day long looking at their phones. The whole families at restaurants looking at their phones. I don't bemoan that. I just think it's interesting, but that's certainly a change. You would never have seen that with your BlackBerry. Well, maybe me. My kids used to yell at me for, Dad, pay attention to us, not your BlackBerry. Some of you who bought ebooks from Microsoft over the last few years might have noticed a sad thing. They no longer work. Microsoft's eBooks store has closed for good. As of April 2nd, all ebook sales were halted. Starting this week, all purchased books will be removed from your library, which underscores a nasty fact of the modern age. You don't own your books, your TV shows, your movies. You've just rented them. You've bought a license that allows you to access them. But as soon as the company decides, we're not going to support that anymore, they disappear. To Microsoft's credit, they're going to refund you for what you paid for those books. And if you did any annotations or markups, which you will also lose, content you created will be gone, they're going to give you a whole $25 to make up for it. At least you're not out the money, but that just really underscores it. A lot of these things you think you're buying, books, music from Apple Music, TV shows from iTunes or movies, you don't really own them. You're streaming them from their servers, and at some point they may say, well, that's that. We're going to move out of that business, and that's it. They're gone. Now, it is probably the case that you could download these somehow and remove the copy protection, and then they'd just be files you could open and you could continue to open. This is really a problem not so much with the companies going out of business, it's with digital rights management or copy protection. Because once the authentication servers that say, yeah, you really own that, go offline, you don't own it. You own a bunch of useless bits. Whenever possible, it's probably a good idea to buy stuff without copy protection. And I can't technically encourage you to break the law, but there certainly are ways to remove that copy protection. And if you think you might want to own those things after the company goes out of business, you might want to figure that out. Walmart was about to shut down its copy protection servers in 2008 for the music you bought there. FTC stopped them. And technically, the Copyright Act says you can't make a copy. Well, you can make a backup copy of your digital stuff, but you can't remove the copy protection. You can't even tell people how to remove the copy protection, except that people do it. So I won't say I won't recommend it. I'll just point out you could do that, and then if they took down the servers, those bits would still be books. Or you could buy a piece of paper, some dead tree, and that wouldn't go away. Reading about 5G, good article in the Wall Street Journal this week. The downside of 5G. 5G is what, you're seeing the ads already. In fact, AT&T incorrectly is calling its high-speed phone network 5GE, which is really 4G enhanced. But that's, it's a long tradition of marketing terms, superseding technical terms. 5G, though, probably is coming, but Christopher Mims, writing in the Wall Street Journal, points out that this is going to be tricky because it requires a lot of fiber optic cable to be put in. That means you have to trench, you have to dig holes, you have to get rights of way, and it requires roughly 3 times the number of cell towers. 5G cell towers have to be closer together, 800 to 1,000 feet apart, which means they'll have to triple the number of cell towers. Currently, there are 349,000 cell sites in the United States. In order to get 5G coverage in the same areas that you have 4G or LTE coverage right now, you'd have to have 769,000 cells. They plan to do it by 2026. Verizon, for instance, just bought a ton of fiber, $1 billion worth of fiber from Corning. Yeah, the glass company. They make the fiber glass cables. 12.5 million miles of cable every year for 3 years. $1 billion in fiber. And that has to be, you have to get experts to go in, splice. Have you ever seen them splicing fiber? If the fiber ever goes down in your neighborhood, run out and look, because a specialist has to come out with a special box. It's like a surgeon, because you have to reattach the glass is very tricky. It's like microsurgery. That has to be done for each one of those new towers. They have to splice it into the network. Not to mention the fact that it's not just one company putting in 5G. It's at least 4, maybe more. AT&T, Sprint, Verizon, T-Mobile. They're all digging holes in the ground. And by far, I mentioned $1 billion in fiber cable. According to the Wall Street Journal, by far the biggest expense is not the cable, not the splicers, not the surgeons who come out, but the holes in the ground. It's expensive to dig holes in the ground. But they're hoping by 2026 to get 5G. What does 5G give you? Well, potentially more speed, a lot more speed. You can't really tell until it's completely rolled out and everybody has a phone that can do it. Your current phone can't. But in a couple of years, most of the phones sold will have 5G capability. So once you get all those people, all those hundreds of millions of phones on the network, well, we'll see how fast it is. It's fast now because nobody is using it. It's also lower latency, and that actually makes a big difference in things like self-driving cars. You don't want any lag if your self-driving car is facing another self-driving car at a stop sign and deciding who goes first. You want that to be pretty instant. You go first. No, you go first. No, you go first. You want that to be pretty quick, and that's one of the things 5G promises. I look forward to joining you in 6 years or maybe 12 years. 12 years from now, and we'll talk about it. Remember 12 years ago before we had 5G? Remember that? And now I'm doing the radio show from the far side of the moon. What an amazing feat. We're going to take a break, come back with the calls. Kim Schaffer's answering the phones, 8888 Ask Leo. The phone number, 888-827-5536. Our website, techguylabs.com. Don't forget that, because everything we talk about on the show, I'll even put links to these articles I just was talking about, shows up at the website. So if you hear something you like or you're interested in, best thing to do, just go to the website and you'll find a link there. You don't have to write it down. It's time for the unbreakable Kimmy Schaffer. Hello, Kim Schaffer.
Morning.
Say again?
Good morning.
Good morning. All I heard is orning.
Oh, well.
I didn't turn your microphone on soon enough. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
That's how it sounded.
Skipping. I'm like a CD that skips.
When did you get your first iPhone?
November 2015.
Oh, wow.
Like the day after Thanksgiving.
Like 8 years after it came out.
Yeah, because I had Blackberries and Androids up until that point.
Did you look at the iPhone and think, I like that or I want that?
No, you know what it was? I was sick of the lack of battery life that the Androids had, and I knew that the iPhones sustained the battery a lot better at the time. They may have improved the Androids' battery lives now, but I feel like I always see people having their Androids plugged in constantly.
You know why? I think it's a millennial thing. Millennials don't... So you and I, being adults, when we get home at night and we're going to bed, we plug our phone in and charge it all the way up. So in the morning, it'll have a full charge. But I've noticed this in my kids.
They just fling it across the room.
They don't. I don't know why. They don't plug it in at night. They don't have that habit or something. And so they get up in the morning and it's still not fully charged. And so there's a brisk market in batteries. In fact, I remember... I think I told this story going to dinner with my son. He says, yeah, I'm going to meet you, but can you bring a battery? And I just think I think it's a millennial thing. I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm the paranoid person who wants mine at 100% at all times.
Yeah, me too. If it's down to 50%, I get nervous.
Yeah, me too.
I didn't charge my iPhone last night by accident. It fell behind a couch cushion.
Yeah.
And so I'm about to leave for work. And where's my iPhone? Fortunately, on my Apple Watch, there's a thing you can press the button, and it makes that sound.
Oh, to find it?
Very loud. And it's weird because I'm wandering around going, I hear it. I can't figure out where it's coming from. I just kept pressing the button till I finally got it. We're out of time. Hey, great talking to you. What happened?
You went long on the last break.
I went long with you, too. Thank you, Kimmy. We'll get our calls in just a bit. Sam's coming up, our car guy. What? What happened? Well, that's a first. Jeez Louise.
Oh, my gosh, that's the best.
Oh, my God. Calls. Who needs calls? Oh, my God. Here he is in his cherry-chopped El Camino, going up and down the streets of Petaluma. Sam Abuelsamid, our car guy, principal researcher at Navigant Research. There is a car show almost every weekend in this neck of the woods. California is really car country.
It is around here too. Here in Michigan.
Well, you're in Detroit. You're in the Motor City, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we have here in the town where I live, we have a cruise night every Thursday night, and there's various cars and coffee events around on most weekend mornings. So
fun.
Plenty of places for car people to hang out.
Maybe it's universal. Maybe it's across the country. I don't know. Yeah, America loves automobiles.
It certainly is among people of more than a certain age. It seems like younger folks are somewhat less interested in the car culture. But what are you going to do? It's
us baby boomers that love it. Sam joins us every week to talk about not old stuff, although he does drive a 1990 Miata, but new stuff, the way cars are changing in our modern world. I saw a posting on Reddit this morning. Somebody said, I'm buying a Nissan Leaf. Is there any way I can make it use the new CCS charging standard? And no, it's CHAdeMO. Is CHAdeMO dead? Is that going to be going away?
Eventually, it probably will in North America. But the good news is that most DC fast charging stations that have CCS chargers also have CHAdeMO connectors. So, like
for a while anyway.
America stations.
Yeah.
I mean, they certainly do for the foreseeable future.
And there are a lot of Leafs. There are a lot of Leafs out there. It's
Yeah.
one of the most popular electric vehicles in the U.S. So they're not going to go. But we got it. But that's one of the reasons we bought a Chevy Bolt. We wanted the CCS, the new fast charging standard that Electrify America is going to support countrywide, nationwide.
Yeah. And EVgo and ChargePoint, they also have CHAdeMO connectors at their DC fast charging stations. So there's plenty of them around.
You're not out of line.
That's not so much of a problem.
Sorry, I didn't mean to disrupt. I noticed that this morning. I thought I'd ask you. But what do you want to talk about? This is your show.
So last week we talked about GPS spoofing and the problems with localization with GPS, and one of the areas that potentially causes a problem with is going forward with autonomous vehicles. The vehicles need to know where they are on the road, even if the sensors can't necessarily see the road directly. Like if you're driving in snow and things like that, you want to have precise location of where the vehicle is on the road, and if you've got a system like GPS that may not necessarily always be totally accurate as far as your position, you need something more precise. And so that's one of the things that engineers have been coming up with is this idea of HD maps, so that we talked about GPS, you're using the position of the satellites to triangulate your location anywhere on the planet. But with HD maps, what you're actually doing is you're doing the same kind of triangulation, except you're doing it from maps. If you have maps that have more than just the street level information, but actually have various, features, static features, things like overpasses and buildings and trees and signs and all that, and you have the location of all those from your sensors, from your cameras and your radar and your LiDAR, you can figure out where you are even more precisely than you can with GPS, and you can get down to 1 to 2 centimeter accuracy with HD maps versus with GPS. So there's a bunch of different companies coming up with different systems for HD maps to put into future vehicles, and actually they're starting to come out in some vehicles already now this year. One of the first systems that's coming out is a map system developed by Mobileye, who does a lot of the vision systems, the camera sensors that you find in various vehicles today. Nissan recently announced the version 2 of their ProPilot Assist system that's coming out this fall, which has hands-off capability, like the GM Super Cruise system that you and I drove last year.
That was actually very nice in that Cadillac CTS. That was really nice, I thought.
Yeah. And it's also going to have Mobileye's Roadbook system, which is their HD map system, to help with localization and with geofencing so that the car knows where it is. But there's other HD map systems as well. And, for those that are watching the video stream, you can see behind me, I've got on the one side is the TomTom Road DNA system, and they go out with vehicles and with similar to what Google does with Street View. They have sensor-equipped vehicles that capture all the information about the roads, and they build up this map system that is then loaded into the vehicle so that it can use to figure out exactly where it is, based on all the features around the road.
One of the things that Cadillac CTS did is it would only do it on highways that the Cadillac had mapped itself, instead of trusting what it was able to see with its LiDAR. Or I guess it didn't have LiDAR, but with its cameras and radar. So that's another solution, right, is to not rely on maps except on carefully moderated areas. Yeah,
so GM is using it for geofencing the system, so that, with Tesla, with autopilot, they say you're only supposed to use it on divided highways. You're not supposed to use it on city streets.
But it doesn't stop you.
They don't do anything to actually stop you from doing that.
Yeah.
Cadillac actually contracted with a company called Usher to do the maps of all the divided highways across the United States. And they're about to roll out an update that expands it from 130,000 miles of highways up to 200,000 100,000 miles of highways, and that's coming out in the next couple of months. And that prevents it from activating the system, except when you're on a divided highway. But there's also another interesting system that I've been learning more about in recent months, and that's the other one here. And this is using a system using ground penetrating radar.
Whoa, really? Wow.
One of the problems you have with surface level maps is, things can change. Buildings can be torn down, new buildings go up, different features can move. Excuse me. And then, but with ground penetrating radar, and this is from a company called WaveSense, they actually have ground penetrating radar on the bottom of the vehicle that looks down about 5 to 10 feet under the surface.
Well, what do you get? Well, what do you get from that? How does that help you? I'm driving on the surface.
Right. Well, but the thing is, underneath the surface, you've got a variety of features. You've got everything from tree roots and pipes and.
Oh, so it's almost like a fingerprint. So you know exactly where you are based on that kind of fingerprint of what stuff's under there. Is that kind of the idea? So like that tree root, Oh, that's interesting. So it's a way of locating yourself without GPS.
Creates a fingerprint of what's underneath the surface.
Ah.
And, excuse me, and allows you to locate.
Okay, no more burritos before the show. I'm just telling you, especially with that hot sauce. So the ground penetrating radar generates a signature of what's underneath the road surface that never changes. And so you even on a dirt road with no markings or a snow-covered road, it works just great. Wow! So this is the new sewer pipe navigation system that they've been talking. Yeah, sewer pipes and tree roots. Wow, that's really interesting. Yeah, because if you've done the mapping, then you can recognize where you are. If you have the same kind of ground penetrating radar on both the mapping and the car, and I gather it's not expensive.
It's actually fairly inexpensive. It's only a couple of $100s to put that on the vehicle.
Wow. Of course, they're going to find out about my secret underground bunker, but okay.
Well, as long as there isn't a road going over your bunker.
Well, that was my mistake.
Be okay. And it's only if they actually drive over the bunker, then you're gonna might have a problem. But they won't really know what it is. It'll just generate a hash.
Yeah, there's just
of what's on.
Oh, that's actually good. So for privacy purposes, they really aren't seeing it. They're just saying this is a number that represents the kind of the surface subsurface landmarks. Sam Abuelsamid, man, you're great. This is fascinating. I didn't even know about this. He's the car guy, principal researcher at Navigant Research, and joins us every week to talk about automobiles. Thank you, Sam. We're going to take a break and come back and talk more right after this. We'll finally get some calls. Stand by. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Kim's all excited to hear Joan Jett. You know why? She's going to be at the Marin County Fair on Sunday, right, Kim? Rock and roll. Yeah. She loves rock and roll. She's dancing. You could tell Big Pee Wee, our musical director, is back in town. We're going to take some calls. Finally, sorry for keeping you on hold so long. Dave from San Anselmo, you going to the Marin County Fair?
Nope.
No, we're going to go. We're going to go because you're having the fireworks, so we thought we'd go maybe for the 4th or the 5th just to see the fireworks.
I can hear the fireworks from my house.
I bet you can. Yeah. Well, anyway, nice to talk to you, Dave. What can I do for you?
Good to talk to you, too.
Yeah.
So I recently dumped Comcast and got fiber, and with that, ended up getting rid of old Time Capsule and Airport Express, and heard you talk about a while ago about the 3-router solution that Steve Gibson was talking about.
Yeah.
To isolate IoT devices, and decided to go down that route. And obviously the first router is easy to configure to get that up and running, but it's the second router. And I guess if you just do the install just as if it says in the instructions right out of the box, then you're going to have issues with DHCP issues. I guess with the subnets. And so I was wondering about the best way to go about doing it. I think from what I gather, what you need to do is you need to configure each router separately, connect it up to your computer, and then put everything together.
I can't pretend to be an expert in the 3-router solution, but I'll try to help you here. Let me explain to folks why you would. I mean, most people have 1 router. Why would you want 3? And by the way, we've talked before about things like dual NAT, about having too many DHCP servers on your network and so forth. And this sounds like a recipe for disaster. But there's a reason for it. And actually, there's an easier way to do this. You already have the routers, so I'll answer your question. But for other people considering this, really what you're talking about is a term that networking experts will be familiar with, called VLANs, or virtual local area networks. The idea is you want to have separate networks within your network. Normally, you have one network. You have a cable modem or DSL modem. You have a router, and inside that router is all your stuff, including your Amazon Echoes and your Hue light bulbs and your smart doorbells and all of that stuff. Those Internet of Things devices are notoriously insecure. And the threat is that if somebody was to figure out, as they did, in fact, a couple of months ago, how to get through to the Hue light bulbs, they could get onto your home network. It would basically be without a password, without a login. They'd be on your home network and they'd wander around and do whatever they want. This is not a good thing. Of course, remember that in order to do that, they have to be sitting outside your house. They have to be within Wi-Fi distance of your house. Although, no, I take it back. They don't have to be, because it just depends on how you've configured your network. But if they can get to those light bulbs from the public internet, then I guess they can get into your network. So it is a security concern. In the early days, Steve suggested this 3-router solution. You'd have a separate network for your Internet of Things devices. So one of your routers is an IoT router. And then you have a main router, which he calls the border router. So the border router is the one connected to the cable modem. The IoT router is connected to the border router. And then your 3rd router is the secure router. That's the one you put your laptops and your computers on. And the theory is, by doing this crazy idea, you're creating segments. Any enterprise IT person is aware of this concept. It's important to have segments. In fact, we're hearing, for instance, about situations where an entire network is brought down. The city of Baltimore, the city of Riviera Beach, Florida, the JPL, the NASA JPL, hacked because there's a device on there, and then the guy gets on the device. In the case of JPL, somebody brought in a Raspberry Pi, one of those little $35 computers, put it on the network. I don't know what he was doing. He was monitoring the coffee pot or something. But it was insecure. Bad guy got into the Raspberry Pi and got into the network. Now, if you have network segmentation, you can't cross that barrier, so he's only able to access whatever's on the segment, the same segment as the Raspberry Pi, or in your case, the same segment as a Hue light bulb, but the same segment as the camera. And so that's the theory, is we're going to isolate it. But you don't have to do 3 routers to create a VLAN. In fact, lately, Steve Gibson, the guy who came up with this idea, and it's a great idea, has been talking about, Ubiquiti, for instance, sells a router for $50. It's a hardwired router called the Edge Router X. It has 4 ports, has the capability of setting up fairly simply, if your network's sophisticated, 4 VLANs. So that means you could have 4 segmented networks on your internal network that would not have any problems with border crossings. So that's an easier way to do it. $59, Edge Router X, recommend it. Look at the videos on setting it up before you do it, because it is a little more complicated than just your everyday setup. But then so is 3 routers, as you've demonstrated, Dave. Steve has an article on his website. The idea is so you're asking about DHCP. I'm looking at an article on PC Perspective, pcper.com, where they go into great detail. In fact, they have a configuration walkthrough. And so my suggestion is, have you looked at that?
I've seen a couple of different articles.
Yeah, PC Perspectives is by far the most clear. They have illustrations. They actually have a literal walkthrough to tell you what to do. They also talk about some of the issues with doing it this way. And I have to say, kudos to Steve Gibson. He came up with this several years ago. And it was a very clever way. It initially said, well, if you had two routers, he thought, well, what if you have two routers? One, your main router for the secure network, and then you have a little router bridging off of that for the IoT network. It turns out that's not sufficient. You need three. They talk about in this article, I'll put an article in, it's from 2016. I'll put it in the show notes so that you can refer to it. I think it's very clear. I have never done this. I've used the Edge Router X. And actually what I ended up doing is just setting up two separate networks with two network connections. But yeah, this is something, and it's something to keep in mind. When you're putting devices on your network, make sure that you only put devices on your network that are secure. And the best way to do that is to make sure that they are upgradable, ideally upgradable by the manufacturer without your intervention, because you don't want to walk around light bulb to light bulb upgrading your light bulbs. You'd like Philips to push out a firmware upgrade if they find a problem. Steve also has, it was episode 545, he has his description, but I think the PC perspective is better. I think what you do, my guess is what you do is you have one DHCP router, but you say that the secondary routers have their own range so that they don't collide, right? You don't want collisions.
Right.
That would be...
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out.
Yeah, three different subnets. The mask, I don't want to get too technical here because everybody will fall asleep. The mask should be 255.255.255.0, and then you'll be able to set up three different subnets. The idea is so that they don't collide. And actually, at that point, you can have DHCP, I think, on all three.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, I think most providers right now, the gateways they're providing are routers.
Yeah. In fact, I think the more modern routers. Did you replace the Apples with something?
Yeah. No, I went with Netgear, but the gateway that AT&T and Sonic provided is a router too. I think more modern routers have this VLAN capability. I think the ASUS's do. I think the Synology for sure does. So some of the more modern routers, you don't need to get the Edge Router X, but the Edge Router X is like a solid hardware solution. Certainly $59 is not very expensive. Seems well worth it. Hey, great question. Thanks for the call. I'll put all the links that you need in the show notes. A guest network is not segmented, so that's the real key on that. You may see, I should have said that, and I regret not saying that during the call, but a guest network, right, Paul? It's not segmented, and on most of the consumer routers, it's not isolated at all, so that's not going to do the job for you. You need to have a router that has VLAN support, basically. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, 3 routers. Wow. I realize now that we started the show with the most technical call we're going to get in a month of calls. 8888 Ask Leo, 888-827-5536. I read that's the phone number if you want to call and ask a question, make a comment, make a suggestion. I'd love to hear from you. 8888 Ask Leo. There was an article, I think it was today, in The Guardian, How to Speak Silicon Valley. 53 essential tech bro terms explained, including the term tech bro. And I realized that these are terms I use kind of routinely all the time during the show, and I probably shouldn't be so glib and assume that you know what I'm talking about. I try to speak English, but I realize sometimes I'm talking tech bro. By the way, tech bro is defined as a U.S.-born, college-educated, Patagonia-clad male whose entry-level salary at one of the FANG companies, and they define FAANG as Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and Google, the FANGs. I think that came from the stock market, from the Wall Street. That's Wall Street terminology. They're one of the entry-level salary of one of the FANG companies was at least $125,000, and frequently insists that his female coworkers give him high fives. Typically works in product management or marketing. Had he been born 10 years earlier, he would have been a finance bro instead. My favorite definition, though, is thought leader. You see sometimes people, they're given TED Talks. Their title is thought leader, which The Guardian defines as an unemployed rich person.
Twitter, they say, is a mid-sized business with outsized importance due to its three primary users, Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and journalists. Yeah, that's actually not funny. It's true. A useful tool for journalists, and I think they're being sarcastic here, a useful tool for journalists to gauge public opinion by talking to other journalists. It's one of my pet peeves, is that if there's outrage about something on Twitter, it's treated as if the world is outraged, without recognizing that Twitter is a very small subset of the real world. Twitter also is useful for Elon Musk to provoke lawsuits and federal investigations into security fraud. I'll put a link in this to this in the show notes. That's what I do for everything. TechGuyLabs.com is our website. The show notes are there. What we do is we take that website, we divide it into episodes. This is show 1605. Yes, there were 1,604 other shows before this. I've been doing this for a long time. Now in our 15th year of broadcasting, the Tech Guy Show. But all of those episodes, 1,605 of them, are up at the Tech Guy Labs site, techguylabs.com. And then we divide each show into hours. There's 3 hours per show. And then each hour into calls. So there's usually at least one call per show. Maybe I better get to the phones and stop talking. How about that? Let's go to Ross in Palm Springs. Hi, Ross.
Oh, how you doing, Leo?
I am great. How are you?
Oh, just fine, thank you. After all these years of listening to you,
oh, I'm honored.
I finally have a reason to call you.
Fantastic. Thank you. I'm so glad you found your way here.
Yes, sir. It's kind of a senior-related question. I have my 96-year-old mother out here, and
well, bless her soul, 96. That's awesome.
Yes, sir. And she's still fairly active, and she takes her walk. I have her in assisted living right across the street from the community I live in.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
Now she takes her walk every day, Leo, and I have she listens to Pandora.
Nice.
On a Moto G4 kind of mid-range.
You got her all set up, don't you? That's nice, Ross.
But here's the thing, Leo, what I wanted to ask you about the Jitterbug smartphone.
Yeah.
Now her baby sister, who's only 90, I brought her down here, and I got her the little Jitterbug.
What a family you have, man! Longevity in the family. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And so, Leo, my mom, we saw that Jitterbug has a smartphone.
This is new. Yeah, they just started selling it. Now, it's only $100, so I don't know how smart it could be, because that's about a tenth of the cost of the high-end smartphones. They say it's the simplest smartphone ever.
Yes, sir.
So I'm trying to figure out, I'm going to guess it's Android, but it's highly customized. And this is the whole idea of the Jitterbug, is to take, it's from a company called greatcall.com. It's to take a regular flip phone, a normal, dumb phone, put big buttons on it, make it really easy for older folks to use, and by the way, also easier for them to hear. But nobody wants a flip phone anymore. And you just gave a perfect example. Having Pandora is great. So what this is essentially a Android, I'm going to guess, but I'm pretty sure an Android device with a special launcher on top of it that lets them customize it so it's got big buttons, it's easy to read, and it's really simple. It just, it says phone, messages, camera, internet. I'm guessing your question is going to be, can I put Pandora on it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I fear that it's probably too limited and too specialized,
that's a really good question. It's hard for me to tell. I'm looking at the product specs just to kind of try to understand what it is. And it's not an insignificant phone that has a 13 megapixel camera. It does support GPS, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. It has a headphone jack. Yay. It has not a huge amount of storage, but it does support a micro SIM, which means you could put a micro SD card. So you could put an additional 32 gigs in, which would be enough for some applications or some music if you want to put music on it. I don't see where they say it can install apps. But that's
the
key. That's the key. I would guess, they're not saying what the processor is, but based on the other specs, I'm going to say it's kind of not a bad mid-range phone. Something like one of the Samsung J series phones. In fact, it probably is, I would guess, a modified Samsung, say J3 or something like that. That's about a $70 phone. If you put a different user interface on it, it would probably look a lot like this. It should be, I would say, make a call to Great Call and just say, I want to put Pandora on it.
Or iHeart, either one of those.
Or iHeart. Is there an app store, or is there a way to install apps? Because I think it would run the app. I'm almost certain it would run the app, given the specs for it. The question is, how would I install it? And for that, they need an app store. I'm going to guess that they've locked it down, because the worst thing would be for your mom or somebody, she's in this nice, easy-to-use interface, she's figured it all out, and then she accidentally presses a button, and now it's an Android phone, and I don't know what's going on here. So they're going to probably lock that stuff out.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would ask them.
Okay, I'll just give them a call.
Yeah, because I don't know off the top of my head. I have to say, based on what I see, this phone looks certainly capable enough to do it. That's not the question. It's not whether it could.
Yes, sir. Well, Leo, I told her, well, maybe we should leave well enough alone. I mean, she has the Moto G4. And,
is she able to use it pretty well? I mean...
Yeah, well, she's constantly telling me that she wants the big font. The little icons, they're a little harder.
Yeah, it's hard to read.
Yeah, she wants to see English language in large font.
Yeah, I don't blame her. No, I understand completely.
And so...
I think these Jitterbugs are great phones. I got one for my mom. She's 86.
Oh, you did?
Well, and then she said, no, I want a real phone. She said, I don't want no old person phone. I said, okay, Mom. So she's using a larger iPhone 6S, and I made all the text as big as I could make it. And it works pretty well for her. But, everybody's different, so that's...
Well, some years ago, Leo, my daughter, she's iPhone, everything. My granddaughter, everything iPhone. And about 10 whatever years ago, she had gotten my mom onto the iPhones. But, to pay that much per month.
Yeah.
And Mom, they like $85.
It's not worth it. No.
And so I went... When you reviewed some of those Moto phones,
I think that was a great choice. Yeah.
So I went to the Moto. I'm on about my third or fourth Moto X.
Good.
In the Republic. And so I got Mom on there, one of those Moto G. And
is she on Republic as well?
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah. And because everything is...
It's so much cheaper, yeah.
Yeah, so much cheaper. I mean, she's not using data,
No, they aim these phones and these plans at geeks like me who are going to use a lot of data and, we want a lot of power and all that stuff, and they make a lot... There's more profit.
Well, I'm 73, and I just recently started really texting because the kids just forced me to.
Yeah, that's the only way they'll talk to you nowadays.
Yeah, they just forced me, and now I'm kind of used to texting a little bit now, But
so there is the chat room has just put up a link to a YouTube video, how to download apps on the Jitterbug Touch 3. That's a different phone, but this is a video from Great Call. So it does look like there are ways to do it. I would take a look at that video. It's on YouTube. Go to the Great Call. That's the company that makes the Jitterbug channel. Great Call has a channel on YouTube with lots of videos on how to use it. You might even be able to get the answer right there.
Yes, sir. Okay, that sounds like a smart thing to do.
Yep.
I'll do that.
Hey, a pleasure to talk to you, Ross. Don't be a stranger now.
Yeah. After all these 30 years or whatever it is, I've been listening to you, I figured, well, now I got an excuse to
anytime.
Bug Leo.
You don't need an excuse. Call anytime.
Yes, sir.
Take care, Ross.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Website, techguylabs.com. We have a great chat room, too, if you like to chat. irc.twit.tv. He's playing that funky music. Our musical director, Mr. Big Pee-wee. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Time to take more calls here at 8888 Ask Leo. Let's see. Ivan in West Covina, California. Hello, Ivan.
Hey, Dev Null.
Oh, my. That's a blast from the past.
Yeah, I started listening to you about a year before you started the site.
A show we did in the mid-'90s on MSNBC. In fact, it launched with MSNBC. And I was the virtual reality barista, Dev Null, that talked to Soledad O'Brien every night about the latest gossip from Silicon Valley. Not my finest hour.
Oh, but it was great information.
Hey, I got an Emmy Award for it, so I guess maybe it was my finest hour. It wasn't the most dignified thing I've ever done. Let's put it that way.
Oh.
Thanks for bringing that up, Ivan. What can I do for you?
Well, we have our granddaughter during the summer about 4 hours a day, and she wants to do this project where she's gaming on Roblox.
Yeah,
and
Roblox is so cool.
She wants to capture the screen, but then she also wants to do visual commentary. Where
she wants to be a YouTube star, does she?
Exactly.
How old is she?
8 years old.
Oh my God! This is like every kid now. For the last 10 years has wanted to do exactly this. I don't blame them. It's kind of cool. That's what they see. She wants to know more about Roblox. Where does she go? She goes to YouTube and watches other kids doing this.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what does she play Roblox on is the first question.
An iPad.
Okay.
Primarily. We have a Samsung tablet as well, but she's usually on the iPad.
So the problem with doing it on a tablet as opposed to, say, a gaming console or PC is that it doesn't have any facility for streaming. Somebody said, though, in the chat room that Roblox may have that built in. Now, but then I don't know if you have video of you in it.
Yeah, I haven't seen a way to do it. The only way I can think of doing it is to have her go through, capture the screen thing she wants to do, then take that, play it back, and capture her commenting on it, then put the two together, like a picture-in-picture.
Yeah, let me look. I'm looking on Roblox.com about the stream option. Yeah, it just streams their picture, the Roblox screen, not her.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's what you want to do. Now, the good news is the iPad has a built-in screen recorder, so that's easy. That's the easy part.
Yeah.
So,
we got that.
So she records her stream, and actually she'll get a much better result by doing this. And then you have to bring it over to a computer and do picture-in-picture, as you said, with the stream. So you probably would do this in 2 or 3 steps. The first step would be record the stream. It wouldn't be a bad idea while she's recording it to narrate it. That's going to be a rough track of narration. Then you'll want to put it up on the screen, play it back, and record her with a video camera or even just a smartphone camera and microphone doing the final narration. So she's watching her narration and or watching her stream, narrating it. And then you're going to take those 2 video streams of her talking and do a picture-in-picture. And many video editors will do picture-in-picture.
Yeah.
So what are you working on, a Mac or a PC? Do you have a computer?
Yeah, I do both. I do video editing.
Oh, well, you know how to do a PIP then.
Yeah, but I didn't know if there was a way to capture it all in one step.
Yeah, there is. There's programs to do this, like OBS, that are designed for consoles have this capability, and certainly for computers built in.
Yeah.
In fact, there's a number of programs that'll do something like this. On the Mac, there's a great program for exactly this. It's mostly used for screencasts, which used to be a big thing, but has been absolutely taken over by the Minecraft and Roblox set.
Right.
But the screencast software, you have screencast software built into OS X, and then I've used OBS Studio, which is open source and free and very popular. But there are a lot of other choices out there. This is a fairly, big category. So, I guess if you do video editing, you know how to put the parts together. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just like that.
Yeah.
There's no way to do it on the iPad that I know of, no.
Yeah. just wanted to make sure I was going in the right direction.
Yeah, I think you are. Sorry to say, Grandpa's going to do all the work. Hey, but if you have a YouTube star, you're going to reap the rewards. Leo Laporte, Big Tech Guy. That's so cute. It's so funny. Everybody I meet between the ages of 8 and 12 wants to be a YouTube star. That's like, we wanted to be, hit a home run in the 9th inning of the World Series.
Yeah.
They want to be on YouTube or Twitch. Yeah, it looks like just the live streaming on Roblox just streams the whole screen, not her.
Yeah.
And then I don't. Yeah, the iPad doesn't have anything like that, unfortunately, because it would be nice, wouldn't it, if their screen recorder would allow you to put the camera and put a picture-in-picture in there.
Yeah.
But maybe next generation, maybe next time.
Yeah. A quick question.
Sure.
Windows 10. 1903, when it first came out, it was problematic if you had multiple internal hard drives updating it. Is that still the case?
No, that was in the beta.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's safe now. They're pushing it too, by the way. Almost everybody's going to get it in the next few weeks.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
well,
I think it's safe
Leo.
to install it. Yeah, you're welcome.
Learn a lot from you.
I really appreciate your listening, Ivan. Have a good one. You're a good grandpa. I hope you're having fun.
Oh, I'm enjoying every minute of it.
I bet you are. That's really great. Take care.
Thanks again.
All righty.
Bye.
Bye-bye. I know so many people who have line of business software. That's the phrase we use, the term for, the software that's unique to your business. I'm not talking about a word processor or a spreadsheet, but if you're a realtor, the listings, the MLS software, or if you're a dentist's office, the software you use to make appointments and things like that. That software, that line of business, that specialized software, is so important to your business, but it's often the worst software in the business, right? Because there's a big audience for Microsoft Office. There's a big audience for Google Drive. And they spend lots of money making it really good. But that software that you use to make appointments, either it was written by somebody who worked at your company 10 years ago in Visual Basic, or maybe, you bought it from a company that's not the biggest company. They don't sell a whole lot of products, so maybe it still only works with Windows XP and Internet Explorer 8. You know what I'm talking about. And we've all dealt with this software that's old, slow, and out of date, and often buggy. Capterra is the way to find new, modern, state-of-the-art software, no matter what line of business you're in. Capterra is the #1 free resource to help you find the best software for your business. Completely online, so it's always up to date. Easy to use, too. If you go to Capterra.com, 700 categories, all the big ones like, CMS, email marketing, IT service, SEO, CRM, all the alphabet soup that's in business, workflow management, project management. They've got all those categories, but if you drill down, they also have very specific, like dentist office software, yoga studio management software. They have very specific software, all of it state-of-the-art. And the best part is you can filter. So you'll be surprised. I think if you go there and you enter something like, yoga studio management software, you'll find many choices. And then you can filter it by ratings, by how it works, whether it's online or on your hard drive, whether you can make appointments with it, whatever the features are. You narrow it down to the software that does what you want it to do. You can put them side by side in a comparison chart. You could figure out, which you like based on ratings. And then, best part about Capterra is the reviews. They're really coming close to 1 million reviews now. There are 1,000 new reviews every single day by actual users. They're very careful. They vet all the reviews. So these are people who actually use the software. That's the most valuable information of all at Capterra.com. So you can see somebody who's using that software in a situation just like yours and see what they think before you even buy. Best of all, Capterra is free. I don't know why you wouldn't use Capterra. Capterra was created by people who believe that software makes the world a better place. Software can help every organization become more efficient, a more effective version of itself. You don't have to suffer with old, slow, bad software. Go to Capterra.com/techguy to find the software your business needs. CAPTERRA, Capterra.com/techguy. Actually, do that /tech guy. That's really important. That way they know you heard it here. Thank you, Capterra, for supporting the Tech Guy Show. Thank you for supporting the Tech Guy Show by going to that site. Capterra.com/techguy. Capterra is software selection simplified. Thank you, Keptera. Chris Marquardt is here. He's our photo guy. Helps us get better pictures, no matter what kind of camera we're using. No prejudices here. You don't have to use a big, expensive camera. Chris leads workshops at discoverthetopfloor.com. He also does some beautiful photographs, most recently of his trip to Kazakhstan. And you could find
Kyrgyzstan.
Kyrgyzstan. It was one of the stands.
Oh, it's the neighbor. It's the neighbor.
It's next door to Kazakh. And his podcast, Tips from the Top Floor, is at tfttf.com. Chris, I just read an article about the Democratic debates, which happened on Wednesday and Thursday here in the U.S. in Miami.
I'm aware of those.
Yep.
Yes, I am.
And one of the problems they were complaining about, this was in the Washington Post, was the noisy cameras used by the press, the still cameras used by the journalists from the newspapers. They kept them in a balcony far away, but at some point the journalist said, well, we would like a shot kind of along the row of candidates because there's so many people, 10 people in this debate. So they let them go down, and they were too close to the microphones, and all you could hear was click, 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 click. And so they said you can only take pictures during applause because it's ruining the sound, which, by the way, NBC did a perfectly fine job ruining the sound all by themselves, but that's another story. They're ruining the sound. And there's one guy, he has a Sony A9. He says,
he just switches to silent mode.
He says, I don't have a mirror. I'm silent. And he said it was a big advantage. He could shoot the whole time. So,
it's also an advantage if you're shooting weddings and these kind of things where sound is a sensitive matter. Most modern DSLRs, the noise is the mirror flap pretty much in the DSLR that makes a lot of the noise. Most of them have a silent mode that is kind of not as loud and
I don't
not as
mind
clicky.
it though. In fact, I think when I think of press conferences and big events, I that sound is part of it. That as everybody's taking pictures, that's kind of the excitement of it. It doesn't bother me at all. But I guess it bothered the NBC sound guy. So there.
Oh, well.
You're having Chris is in Germany, and you're having a unseasonably hot period of weather.
Well, it's summer weather. The temperatures today were in the mid-90s.
Oh, that's not bad. Although
it wasn't too bad.
I read a story that they were slowing down the Autobahn. They were reducing speeds on the Autobahn because the tar was melting.
Well, the Autobahn is huge, so it's not just one road. So they have parts of the Autobahn where I think at one part the concrete kind of exploded upwards, because of the pressure that expansion caused. And then there might be a few areas. But of course, the media, they will always make this a big story. So I haven't really seen any of that where I live. But we had this hot day today, and I also held a workshop over the weekend, which was a perfect timing, right? You have a workshop. Most houses in Germany don't have air conditioning, so we don't have air conditioning here. So it became a pretty hot affair here. And we looked at, it was a people photography workshop. We did a lot of portraiture and these kind of things. And we kind of made use of the weather by playing with available light and seeing what you can do if there's harsh sunlight outside. And
because the light changes, doesn't it, when it's really hot?
Well, the sun is one of the reasons why it's so hot, and no rain and no clouds covering it up. So we ended up going outside with the group and trying different light situations. And there are pretty much when you do people photography and there's the sun out, the sun is a harsh light. It's a very contrasty light. So it is not that nice for portraiture, but sometimes, you might want to take a street shot of someone, or you don't have much of a choice. But there are 4 different light situations that you should know about. And it has to do with where the sun is and where it's not. So when we take a picture of a person, we always have 2 things that have to interact with each other. The first is the person and the light on the person, and the second is the background and the light of on the background, right?
Okay.
So
I'm taking notes.
If you, so you first situation, person in the sun, background in the sun.
Okay.
What does that do? It's a very high contrast situation, very harsh shadows.
It's not flattering at all. It's
not flattering at all, and the background being also in the sun adds a lot of distraction, right?
Right.
So that is kind of the worst case. But if that's all you have, then, hey, you will get a certain look. And That's what you get. Now, let's keep that person in the sun and put the background in the shade. And depending on the direction of light, that you might get this in a street somewhere. So you have the person being lit by the sun, very bright, and you have a darker, shady background, which is not very distracting. So that person will pop in the photo a lot more because it is now in contrast to that darker background. I kind of like these shots, even though with the direct sunlight, again, you get harsh light on the person. But it is a gritty look, but the background isn't in the way anymore. So that would be a good choice. Third situation. Now we turn this whole thing around. We put the person in the shade and the background in the sun. And again, depending on which side of the road you are and which way you're pointing the camera, you can easily get this situation. So the person is dark, background is bright and contrasty. And that will, with most cameras and the way the automatic settings and the cameras work, that will lead to more of a silhouette of the person and a distracting background. So
is that if you have a flash, is that when you might turn on the flash?
You could turn on the flash and give some fill light to the person. That's what you call it. The front will be lit up a bit. That might work. It's definitely worth a try. But if you don't have that, if you can't do this, if you're shooting with a smartphone, for example, the little LED flashes are usually not bright enough to compete with the sun. So that's a different situation. But that would be kind of the worst case. Person in the shade, background in the sun, not much of the person to see, and a very distracting background.
So reposition the person probably is the thing to do.
That is what I try to avoid. Yeah. And the fourth and my kind of favorite situation is you have both. You have the person in the shade and the background in the shade. And that will give you a low contrast situation. The camera can do its work. You don't have a lot of distractions in the background. You have the person kind of it's a flattering light for people. Being in the shade is a very flattering light as opposed to being in the harsh sun. It's much, much better for portraiture. And yeah, that would be my golden choice. If I have the choice, if I walk along a street in Manhattan and I want to do some street photography, I'll try to position myself on the side of the road where I will have both the background in the shade and the person in the shade, because that kind of gives me the best.
Okay. Don't go on the sunny side of the street. Go on the shady side of the street.
You can be on the sunny side as long as you point the camera towards an area where people are in the shade and the background is in the shade. What side you're on doesn't really matter that much as long as you point it the right way. That's what's important.
Very good tips. We always forget that light is the most important thing in photography. That's
it doesn't matter what camera you shoot with. The light is going to make the difference.
Yeah. And you know, I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but I carry a thing called a cube that's like a little light, little LED light. The thing I don't like about regular flashes is they're right over the lens, so you get red eye and stuff. But if you put the cube off to the side, it's pretty bright. I mean, you're right. If it was a sunlit, very sunny, bright background and the person was in the shadow, the cube probably can't overcome that. But
you could try.
It does help.
You could definitely try. The little Litro cubes, I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's a very bright little light source. Yeah. So it might have a bit of a chance to punch through that. Have. Yeah.
Our assignment, one more time. We got a couple more weeks to take pictures illustrating the word or concept.
Door.
Door. That's it.
Door is the word.
That's the thing I should remember. Take a picture illustrating a door, upload it to our Flickr group, and we'll review in a few weeks. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888, ask Leo. John on the line from Los Angeles. Hello, John. Leo Laporte here.
Hey, Leo. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Hey, well, great. Hey, I do a lot of music creation on my PC laptop. I've got it, beefed up to 64 gigabytes of RAM.
Nice.
On this ThinkPad. But it's still, when I'm using Cakewalk Sonar, it crashes a lot.
Oh.
So there's that, which is probably a pretty impossible question to answer at this point. But the easier question would be, when it crashes, regardless of what program I'm using, I get this error message often to blue screen that says your PC ran into problems. we're got to restart, but we're just sending some error messages, and then we're going to restart it. And that process of compiling all that error data that they're sending takes a long time. So I want to just turn that off.
Yeah.
Enough that it crashes without the insult of them making me waste time to restart it.
Yeah, because you know what it's doing is a dump of memory, and you have so much memory.
Yeah.
that it's writing 64 gigabytes of memory onto your hard drive.
I see.
Yeah, so you can turn off the memory dump. At least you used to be able to turn off the memory dump in Windows. I haven't done it in a while.
Okay.
I think it's under in the system properties under advanced. There's settings. You know what? The best thing to do: hit the Windows key and type startup and recovery or something like that. I'm this is pretty old. I'm looking at Windows. I think it's Windows XP. So, but I know there's a place to turn that off. Just turn off the memory dump in the blue screen. It's useless. It's only if you're going to send that memory dump off to Microsoft and have them diagnose. It's completely useless. It's a waste of time.
I see.
Yeah.
So it's not actually sending. It says we're sending some data, but rather than sending it,
I hope not, because if they are, they're uploading 64 gigabytes. Yeah, I think you can turn that off. It's under System and Security in the advanced settings.
I'm kind of looking for it.
Yeah, then there's a write debugging information, and that's what you. Yeah. I think I'm looking at it now. Windows X to open the control panel, select System, or just go to System and Security System. And then in the advanced startup and recovery settings, write debugging information, you can turn off that memory dump. There are several choices, and I'd actually be interested to see what it's on. None is what you want. It can do a small memory dump, it can do a kernel memory dump, or it can do a complete memory dump. And the fact that it's taking a long time sounds to me like it's writing all 64 gigs, which would be really annoying. Turn it off. You don't need it. You would if somebody at some point, if Cakewalk says, "Well, we want to know what's going on." It's interesting, by the way, that occasionally when Cakewalk crashes, the whole system crashes. That is
it crashes a lot.
Yeah, that means it's not just Cakewalk crashing. I'm sure Cakewalk is using some special audio drivers. Almost all DAWs do, digital audio workstations. That's probably the error. So Cakewalk's crashing in the driver. Only a driver can cause a blue screen of death. The blue screens these days can only be caused by accessing system memory, ring zero memory. And that means either a driver or an actual physical hardware failure. So that's why they're so rare. You're getting a lot, and I suspect it's because you're using specialized drivers for your audio. So see if you can get new drivers from Cakewalk.
I think Cakewalk has gone out of business.
That's the problem. There, in a nutshell, is the problem. You might want to look at some other DAWs. There are very good DAWs out there these days. In fact, there's some free stuff that's supposedly quite good. I know you know Cakewalk and you love Cakewalk and all of that, but I bet you that's the problem. Is it's an old audio driver that hasn't been updated. Do you remember if when you installed it, you installed a special driver? Almost always they do.
Well, it's it's an AC or AS. There's a couple of audio drivers. This one is a.
Yeah, that's what's causing the crash.
Yeah.
Almost certainly that's what's causing the crash. So it looks like Band Lab, which owns the Sonar, is now doing it again.
Oh, really?
For free. So you might want to check out if you can get an updated version from bandlab.com.
Right. The driver is an ASIO, and I think that's just a generic. That's a generic.
Well, but it's a specialized driver for audio production. I think that's an out-of-date ASIO driver. So, yeah, if you don't have, I would see if you can get a better one. In fact, maybe get an updated version of Cakewalk. Go to bandlab.com and see.
Okay, will do.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks very much.
My pleasure. Yeah, that in general, systems crashing, the information you get, people call me all the time and say, well, I'm getting, I have a blue screen and the error message is hexadecimal OXE3941B7. Okay. I guess you could Google it, but almost all the time, you got to understand, computers, despite the appearances, are really stupid. They're just a big box of rocks that happens to look like it's doing something because it can do so many dumb things, simple things, very, very fast. It's doing it so fast that by the time the fact that it's crashed gets back to the brain, the brain goes, oh, I'm crashing. It looks to see what it's doing right now and saves that out. That's what that error message is. Well, I crashed when I was doing this. But you doing this now has nothing to do with the fact that, in effect, 1,000 years ago in computer time, something else happened that crashed the computer. So the error messages are often completely useless. They don't even reflect the current status of the system. They're just nonsense. And, occasionally that core dump, the memory dump that it'll do in a kernel panic, maybe that'll be useful. But honestly, in my experience, those error messages and the core dumps are only of use to the person who wrote the program. And maybe they'll know because, oh, yeah, we got that bug and that always causes that. It's not as informational as it seems. In fact, I honestly think error messages should not be so detailed. They should simply be something like, I don't know, something went wrong. Can we restart now? Because that's honestly all it knows. It doesn't know more than that. So, computers are dumb. They're really dumb. They just do dumb fast. So they can do a lot of dumb in a very short period of time. And if you do enough dumb in a very short period of time, you look smart. By the way, don't try this at home. It doesn't work for humans. It just makes you look dumb and fast. But a computer, really essentially all a computer can do is add and subtract and move stuff around. Those are the fundamental operations of all computers. But you do enough adding, subtracting, and moving stuff around fast enough, you can play music, record music. But it's funny because we really look at these things and think, oh man, this thing is really, it's smart. No, you're much. A 4-year-old is much smarter than a computer. And I know everybody talks a lot about artificial intelligence and how computers are getting smarter and smarter. They're just getting more of the facade of intelligence, not actual intelligence. 8888 Ask Lee. It's always good to remember that we're on top. People sometimes talk about how AI is going to take over and then humans won't be needed and the machines will take over. No, because that implies that they'll become conscious, that they'll suddenly become, like us, like have needs and wants and desires. No, they're dumb boxes of rocks that just work really fast. They're not threatening. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, augmented reality, real reality, virtual reality, all the realities. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada, so you can give me a ring anywhere. And actually anywhere in the world, because if you use Skype out or some other way of calling that you're calling a free number, it shouldn't cost you anything. 8888 Ask Leo. Back to the phones we go. Line 3, Chip, Corona Del Mar. Thanks for hanging on, Chip. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. Thank you for helping me.
Oh, thank you for calling.
I called a few weeks ago asking about a set of motherboard and processor, etc. So I could build a new PC. I'm still not decided between Intel and AMD. I've never had an AMD computer, but it's starting to look pretty good. Right now, I'd like to ask about NAS's. I have a NAS now, a Drobo S, runs great. It has 5 2-terabyte Western Digital red NAS drives in it. It's been going for 6 years, not a single hiccup.
Nice.
Except for when the power is turned off. And it's directly connected, so it's not on a network.
Yep.
So I want to.
So it's not really a NAS. It's a big. That's how I use my Drobo too. By the way, it's a big hard drive with redundant disks. So if one of the disks dies, you can just, without turning it off, even put a new disk in. It'll rebuild, and you're good to go. So it's what we call a DAS, not a NAS. It's a direct attached storage. A NAS is a network attached storage. That's the only difference.
Right. And so I want to build another one. Right now, Western Digital red NAS drives and 4 terabyte. They were $110 last week. Now they're $99.
It's amazing. Isn't that amazing? Isn't it amazing? I just saw that price drop. I was talking yesterday. I was suggesting somebody get a 4 terabyte drive, and I went to check the price. Ridiculous. $88 for an external. Incredible. So this is a good time to buy hard drives, I guess.
So then my question is, what NAS should I get? I could go with another Drobo and connect it USB 3.
I'm not crazy about the Drobo as a NAS. I like it as a USB drive. I'm not as crazy as a NAS. And it's mostly because of the software. What a NAS is, essentially, is a computer almost always running Linux, that free Unix-like operating system. And it doesn't have a screen monitor or keyboard. It's attached to your network. It's on your local area network. Usually you connect it to the router directly with a Ethernet cable. And the idea is, by being on the network, it's then accessible to everything that's on your network. You can set it up so that you get home, your phone logs into the Wi-Fi network and immediately backs itself up to the NAS. You could have all your hard drives backing up to the NAS. You could put all your movies and music and audio on the NAS and play it from any device. That's the advantage of having it on the network. It's accessible to everything on the network. There are 2 companies that make NASs that I really like. My favorite, and the one I use, is Synology. Synology. To you, it'll look a lot like a Drobo because it's basically a drive array, and they come from everything from 2 to, I think there's one that has 16 drives in it. I use the one with 5 drives in it. That gives me a lot of capacity and the capability of having 2 drives of redundancy, which means I can have 2 drives fail at the same time and not lose any data. That's nice. So I put that on my network. I use it to back up everything. I back it up to the cloud, so I have an extra copy off-site. It's got a fast enough processor in these Synologies that you can also use it as a server in a lot of different capabilities. There's a lot of software you can install on it. And almost all of these Synology NASs allow you to add additional RAM or a little cache NVMe drive that speeds up small file access. They're really capable. The other company that makes excellent NASs, they're pretty expensive, is QNAP, QNAP. And they also are a very good NAS solution. Those are the 2 companies that I think when you talk about NASs over and over again come up. QNAP and Synology. Synology has its DSM software running on top of it, and I find very capable. So either of those would be fine. They're roughly the same price as a Drobo. You just as you did with the Drobo, you buy the enclosure and add your own drives. You could either take your existing Drobo drives, or since they're so cheap, get some more Western Digital Reds and put those in there.
Okay, so for me, what would the administration of either one of those on a network be like? I've been working in computers since 1969. I've integrated over 200 systems and worked on everything from mainframes to Arduinos.
You'll feel very at home. You'll feel very comfortable. One of the things I like about Synology... I haven't done that much with networking, though.
Well, I haven't done that much with networking, though, and
it's pretty
I want to learn now.
No, you don't have to learn anything. It's pretty straightforward. It's kind of like configuring a router. Because NASs don't come with keyboards, mouse, and monitors, the way you access them, install software, configure software, see what's on the NAS is via a browser.
Okay.
And Synology comes with programs that work with it that you can install on Macs, PCs, or Linux devices. So I use, for instance, Synology has a program they call Drive that I use to synchronize my documents folder to all my computers and back up my photos folder to the NAS from all of my computers. And that's just it's a regular program, regular Windows or Macintosh app that you install. It does it in the background. So it's really, I don't think you're going to have any trouble. You don't have to be a network guru. You just have to be able to get an Ethernet cable from your router to the NAS. I keep my NAS in a air-conditioned closet, and I also put it on a uninterruptible power supply, a battery backup, because not that I want it to always be running if the power goes out, but I want it to shut down in an orderly fashion. I don't want to in any way jeopardize that data, because that's got all the data on it. I'm really happy with the Synologies. Okay. I think you would find it very easy to set it up. And I think once you see all the software you can run on it, you'll be impressed.
Okay, I'll check that out.
All right.
And I hope that you do look at that PBS special about the building of Petra and the upper plateau and all of the cisterns. They're like 1,000 cisterns that they built and the waterways and all. I was so impressed. I always thought that Petra was just that little valley down there.
I can't wait to see it. So were you the guy in chat yesterday who mentioned this?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. What's your chat handle?
Chip CDM.
Chip CDM.
I live in Corona del Mar. It's about 1.25 miles north of where you were when you went to the Newport Coast Resort 2 years ago.
I'm sorry we didn't get together then, Chip. Hey, it's really nice to meet you, though. Yeah, and I will be watching. It's a Nova special on Petra. We're going to Petra in October, so I will absolutely be watching that. That's going into my notebook of things to study up before we leave on the trip.
Thank you. You helped me so much, Leo.
My pleasure, Chip. Great to finally meet you.
Okay.
At least virtually. Thank you for calling. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Let's take a time out. We got lots more to talk about. You, me, and the tech guy. Stay here. So right after Riviera Beach spent $650,000, a third Florida local government has reported it's been struck by ransomware. Key Biscayne joins Lake City as a victim of Ryuk, a form of ransomware first spotted in August 2018. Ryuk was the final piece of what's been labeled a triple threat attack, the other two being Emotet and TrickBot. All three cases started with a city employee, I got to read this on the air, clicking on an attachment in an email and unleashing malware. So they decided to pay $500,000. Oh, no, Lake City paid out $460,000 in Bitcoin. And the insurer paid it, so they thought, well, what the heck. Riviera Beach paid out $600,000. Key Biscayne is a tiny little city, so they haven't decided what they're going to do. I guess they had a city council meeting yesterday, so I don't know. They only have, Key Biscayne only has 3,000 inhabitants. It's that small. It's crazy. Yeah, Florida. It does. I'm tempted to say Florida, man, Zephyr. I know what you mean. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Unbelievable. Third Florida city attacked by ransomware. So after Baltimore, which is about a month ago, was down for 3 weeks, you may remember that Riviera Beach, Florida, a town of about 65,000, small town, got by ransomware. They elected, because the insurance company would pay the bill, all but $10,000 in the deductible, they elected to pay $600,000 to get their data back. Normally, the FBI says, do not pay ransom to ransomware thieves. It encourages them. You probably don't need to encourage them, but it encourages them. And B, you may not get your data back. These guys are crooks. You're saying, oh, yeah, I trust the crooks will give me the key. They're crooks, and we don't. You're trusting them with. You say, "Well, I'm going to give them $600,000. Let's see what happens." That just shows how desperate these cities are. They got nothing. They got nothing. I'm going to guess that because it was such a highly publicized case, that the ransomware authors, if they put 2 and 2 together, said, "Oh, that must be Riviera Beach," because they may not even know. Oh, that must be Riviera Beach. We better unlock that because, of course, the ransomware authors want you to think giving them money will work. So, it would make sense in a few well-publicized cases that you do, in fact, give back the data. But that's not the end of it. That's not the end of it. Lake City was hit by ransomware on June 10th. Lake City's an even smaller town, only 12,000 people. They paid $460,000. It's $23 a citizen or something, right? That's crazy. $463,000 in Bitcoin to the hackers. And then we just got word this week, the Key Biscayne, a town of 3,000 people, is locked down with ransomware. They had a city council meeting last night to decide whether to pay. So a couple of things I should say on this. A good email system will block those emails. The way this, in every one of those three cases, and pretty much all ransomware cases, it comes from, in these cases, a city employee getting an email, targeted email, clicking on a link. It either took them to a website with the malware on it, or it contained the malware that they opened and ran as a program, thinking, oh, this must be the new Flash or something. I don't know. They ran it, and it infected not only their computer, but spread over their network to the entire system, locking it all down, making it all unusable until either their IT guy said, oh, that's too bad, let's restart. Let's restore from backup and do it over. Or failing that, they paid the ransom. Or they just started over and said, well, we don't need to keep track of any tax stuff. You know, that's silly. We don't. Who needs to know who lives in town? We don't need to know anything. You can imagine. I mean, that's all their data is gone. Hope they had a good backup. But I got to point this out. It's a failure of IT from day one. First of all, you got to train your employees. At least make them aware that people are going to try to be getting into our system by sending you email that, and sometimes I'll even see this in the news, from a stranger. Don't open email from a stranger. No, it won't be from a stranger. It'll be from your boss. It'll be from somebody who claims to be your boss. It'll be a name you recognize. And the reason the bad guys use the boss, first of all, they figure it out, right? They figure out who's who. It's a city. It's easy. It's all public information. They go to the website. Who's the city manager? Oh, Joe Fiore. All right. Send an email to the city comptroller from Joe Fiore saying, urgent issue. I'm really concerned. This spreadsheet is not adding up to me. I think we've got a problem. Can you open it and look at it? Now, if you get that email as a city employee, you're going to open it, right? No, stop. Stop. First, people, don't send email attachments. I've been saying this for more than a decade. So that's job one. Send a link to something. And job two is when you got to teach everybody in your organization not to open these emails, to think twice before clicking a link. And even then, you're going to see stuff. So here's the other side. Use an email program that filters out malware. Gmail will not. If you are using Gmail, I think more cities should be using Google's G Suite. I mean, what else are they using? I don't know. But if you're using G Suite and your mail's coming through Gmail, I think 99% of these cases, it's not even going to get to you because Gmail sees. They're not looking at Joe Fiore's name. They're looking at the payload. And they say, wait a minute, oh, that's an attachment with malware in it. Or, that link leads to a site with malware on it, and they'll block it. And there are other good email systems. We use Gmail here at our studios, and we haven't been bit, knock on wood. I think our employees are smart, too. We kind of train them and make sure they understand not to open these. But a good system's going to block that stuff. And then finally, you should have some decent backup. You should prepare for this disaster. It's going to happen. You should have a system that even if every hard drive in your business were damaged, corrupted, locked, encrypted, you had to throw them out, that you could somehow go in with new hard drives and restore them and be back up and running. And that data should be pretty recent, like not more than a day old, right? And so in every case, these $500,000 ransom, $600,000 ransom is money that it would have been much better spent on the other end for a decent IT policy, and it wouldn't have probably been that much. So just a little public service from Leo. I think this is avoidable. I really do. I think this is avoidable. And, we just had in studio, and I didn't want to say anything when he was here because I was kind of in awe, the guy in charge of IT for West Point, the military academy at West Point. And I said, you must be constantly under barrage, attack from foreign nationals and bad guys and all kinds of people trying to get into the network. He said, we only have to make one mistake. They only have to do it right once. So it's a constant vigilance. And of course, because West Point is such a high priority for the U.S. Army, they have cybersecurity professionals there, and they really do lock it down. And you're not going to hear of a ransomware shutting down West Point, I can promise you that, or the Pentagon, or the U.S., or the FBI, or the government, because they are taking this seriously, and businesses need to do the same thing. That's all. That's all I'm saying. He was a very impressive fellow, and it's really cool. I'm very fortunate because for reasons I don't really fully understand, we actually have some smart IT guys listening to this show. You'd think they'd know everything already, but I'm always honored when I find out. And I ask them, I ask every one of them, what do you do? How do you prevent this? And they say it's hard. It's really hard, but we do it because we have to do it. And think how embarrassing it would be if, our military academy at West Point were shut down because of ransomware. That would not be a good thing. So that's a high stress job. He seemed pretty relaxed for a guy who was doing that. I was impressed. 8888 Ask Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, here's one more thing you should be doing. And this is what we do. Another thing we do at Twit. I think I'm pretty proud of what we do in our offices. And we're just a small business, just 20 people. But one of the things we do, and we offer it as a benefit of employee, in fact, to all our employees, LastPass. A good password manager is very, very important because, unfortunately, I wish we didn't have to know all these passwords. But honestly, I don't know. I'd love to see a study that says how many passwords the average person has to remember. I have, in my LastPass, in my vault, let me just check. I bet I have 600 or 700 passwords in my vault. Now, maybe I have more than most, but still, that's not unusual. That's a lot of sites. And I'm not going to remember that many passwords. So if you're faced with something like that, it's sites, and by the way, it's also apps. If you're faced with something like that, the natural tendency would be to either reuse the same password over and over, right? Well, I can remember one. Bad idea. Or a variant of an easy-to-remember password like your kid's birth date, your dog's name, and your mother's maiden name, something like that. Bad idea. You know what a good password is? As long as the place will take, 67 characters if they'll take it. Unfortunately, a lot of sites, it has to be less than 20. I just was on a site that was less than 8. I thought, this is terrible security. But even with 8, if it's a completely random combination of upper and lowercase letters, numbers, and punctuation, it's random enough, if it's really random, that nobody's going to guess that or even be able to brute force it. It gets easier when it's shorter, so make it long, totally random. But I bet you couldn't remember a random string of 8 characters either. If it's all mixed up like that, they're not memorable, but that's the point. LastPass generates those long, strong passwords as long as you want, remembers them for you. All you have to remember is one password. Now, you're going to make that good password, right? It's going to be nice and long, and they have some suggestions for how to make a really good master password, but that's all you need to remember. It's important to remember it because LastPass is encrypted. It's very secure, only decrypted on your device. They don't have access to it. Nobody has access to it except you. And it, by the way, works on every device. Windows, Mac. I use it, a Chrome plugin on Linux. It works on iOS. It works on Android. And by the way, it autofills the passwords too. On Android and iOS, it'll autofill in the password for me on these apps. I don't have to remember anything. It's actually a real convenience. LastPass Enterprise is very important for us, and LastPass has beefed up its business offerings. I'm really excited to tell you this. This is brand new. It's coming out in July. The LastPass business lineup. 3 products to bring the control IT needs, the convenience users expect. Single sign-on technology, 1,200 plus pre-integrated apps. That's fantastic. That means LastPass Enterprise will manage access for every entry point in one solution. apps that are covered by SSO and those that are not. It's very nice. LastPass multi-factor goes beyond standard two-factor. MFA ensures only the right users are accessing the right data at the right time, but it's easy for your users. That's very important too. They use biometrics, face recognition, voice, fingerprint, plus, and I love this, contextual factors like geolocation and IP addresses. This is state-of-the-art authentication. LastPass Identity combines LastPass Enterprise and LastPass MFA. We're going to be using all of this, believe me, to give you a holistic view of end-user activity from one dashboard. Covers passwords, authentication, every app that's in use. This is an IT dream. From single sign-on and password management to adaptive authentication, LastPass Identity gives granular control to IT, frictionless access to users. There's a LastPass for individuals, for families, for small businesses and large. Go to lastpass.com/twit to learn more. LastPass, bridging the gap between access and authentication to simply and securely manage identity. And they're doing it right. LastPass.com/twit. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Line 4, Ken in Merced. Hello, Ken. Leo Laporte here.
Hello, Leo.
Hi, Ken. Thanks for hanging on.
Yeah, I just bought a new HP.
Yay. You like it?
Well, I don't know yet because I'm only at that point where it says, make Cortana your personal assistant.
No.
Should I?
No.
Decline that?
Well, I do. So Cortana is a voice assistant, just like Siri, Google, Amazon's Echo. You can talk to your computer. You can ask her for stuff.
Oh, that's okay. I declined it already.
Yeah, you don't need that.
No, not really.
I use it on my phone sometimes, especially when I'm driving, but I don't find any use for it on a desktop. I actually disable Cortana in all my Windows installation.
All right. Well, so that's the way I should go next?
Well, it's up to you. You might...
I already declined that.
Yeah, I mean, and by the way, that's temporary. You can always go into the settings and turn it back on. You haven't lost anything.
Yeah, that's true.
But, you know, only if you would use it. I don't use it, and I don't know anybody who does use it.
All right, what do I do with the next one? It says, if you want timeline and other Windows features to help you...
Do you use multiple Windows computers or just one?
Well, I have a couple, but they're not all.
So Timeline notes all the documents that you open. It keeps track of recent documents, right, in a chronological order. And what's cool is if you do that on your Microsoft account, this only works if you log in with a Microsoft account, then all your other Windows machines will have that information in their timeline as well. It's kind of like synchronized bookmarks, but for documents, for everything. For the web, if you use Edge.
No, I don't need that either.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, because what I usually use is, somehow I lost you.
No, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
All right.
Yeah.
Choose privacy settings.
This one is complicated. So you see a screen of about 12 of them.
Yeah.
And there's, of course, the one button that says, yeah, just do it. And almost everybody goes, yeah, just do it. The good news is nothing is permanent in any of these settings. So you can always go back into the control panel and look at what you've set. There's a debate about how much information to be sent back to Microsoft.
Yeah, I don't want online speak recognition. I don't want...
go through it. It's okay to turn that off. Some functionality will go away. One of the reasons I don't use Cortana is in order for Cortana to continue to work, you have to send a lot of information to Microsoft, including all the recordings. So it's a big privacy leak, I guess. Now, I don't think Microsoft is malicious, and the good, so one of my colleagues says she judges companies by their business model. So what's Microsoft's business model? To sell you software and services. It's not really advertising. Google's business model is advertising. Facebook's business model is advertising. So Google and Facebook are incented to gather as much as they can about you. That makes their advertising more valuable. Not so much with Microsoft. So I think Microsoft is starting to realize that Apple, which is the kind of the king of privacy right now, because they don't make any money selling your information. They only make money selling you hardware and services. Microsoft's looking at Apple saying, that's not a bad idea. So they're starting to emphasize privacy. And I wouldn't be surprised if eventually, they're not there yet, they become as private as Apple. Right now, the biggest problem Microsoft has is that page you're staring at. Because even if you turn off everything, some information is still sent back to Microsoft. Mostly information about how you use your computer. They call it telemetry. And the reason is they want to know if they put in a feature and nobody uses it, they want to know that so they can take it out. That kind of thing. Or if it crashes, they want to know, well, what were you doing when it crashed, because we would like to fix it. And I don't think that's an unreasonable thing for a company to want. I don't suspect them of doing any more with that. But there are a lot of people who say, I don't want Microsoft to know anything about how I use my computer. So they turn everything you're looking at. Yeah, you can turn it all off. I don't think it'll...
You can always turn it back on again.
You can always turn it back on. And you'll know if, like, you open Maps and the map says, well, I don't know where you are because you didn't tell me. Then you can say, okay, you can have location awareness. That kind of thing.
Yeah, the only one that,
I honestly think you can turn it all off. But it's not, it's an the problem is it's a lot of things to read. But so most people, in fact, I'm most people in this case, I just say, yeah, whatever. But honestly, it's reasonable to care about that. And I think going through those and reading them, it won't take you that long. There's only a dozen or so. It might be informative as to the kinds of things Microsoft's collecting about you.
Well, Chromebook's already collecting a lot of information about me. They know where I'm at. I mean, my phone number's in the phone book. It's not like I'm hard to find.
Yeah, this is the challenge. A lot of the things we like about Google and Facebook and Microsoft have to do with what they know about you. And so it's kind of a trade-off. I wish here's what I would like the companies to do. Be very forthright about what they're gathering and how they use it. They do have policies, legalese that you can read. But I want them to be a little more outgoing about what they're doing and what they're collecting, and let me decide. So that's what that page you're looking at, that actually is a big improvement. That's fairly recent for Microsoft. They didn't used to tell you all this. But they realize people want to be able to control what information they're sending back. And I think that's the right thing to do. So you get to decide.
Register and protect?
I don't turn on any register and protect. I'm trying to think what that is. Register and protect. Yeah, okay.
And choose your HP contact.
That's from HP. That's why I don't recognize it. Yeah, so every company you buy a computer from really wants you to... Remember the old days you'd buy a refrigerator, there'd be a little postcard in it?
Yeah.
Nobody sends those in. So they would start saying things like, well, if you want your warranty to work... No, you still have a warranty because you got your bill of sale, right?
I keep those.
It's still under warranty. You don't have to send that in. They really want you to send that in. Why? Well, then they can market to you. So I never do that stuff.
All right, I just went on to next.
Next.
I'll know
because your warranty is still good with HP. You don't have to do that.
Well, I got it at Costco. It's good for 90 days.
You got it from Costco, and then after 90 days, for the rest of the year, it's HP. They have to honor that. Don't worry about that. That's a legal thing they've got to do. So don't even worry about that.
And Costco's pretty liberal, too.
Costco's great.
Days, I
actually tell people all the time to buy from Costco and the other big box stores because they have very liberal return policies and actually pretty good service and support. And by the way, that HP computer is a nice computer, but I would uninstall as much of the extra stuff HP puts on there. And I wouldn't sign up for anything that HP's asking you to sign up for. You don't need an HP account to use that computer.
Yeah, this is a HP Pavilion laptop.
Nice.
15 CS 1063 CL, whatever that means.
I don't know either, but it's. I think HP's been. It's interesting. HP for a while went through a stage where they were really not making very good gear, and they were putting a ton of junk on it. And they've wised up. When they spun off the enterprise division, the PC division went on its own way, and I think that they're now making among the best computers out there. So I think you probably got a very nice system.
Yeah, but this has a 1 terabyte, but it's a hard drive. It's not a...
Yeah, when you buy, that's the downside of buying at a big box store. They're never selling this top-of-the-line, state-of-the-art stuff. They're always selling, sometimes even year-old stuff. They're not always selling the most best stuff because they want to keep the price down, right? But you don't care. If it feels slow to you, you can always install an SSD down the road.
Well, like I say, actually, that's what I want to do is I have a... Asus that, remember I was the one that slapped my hard drive to death?
Yeah, I do remember that one.
He went out. Well, I had to hit it a couple of times just to get it to spin.
Anyway, that's what the Army calls percussive maintenance, and it's sometimes the only way. Hey, I got to run, but thank you for the call. I think you're going to enjoy your new computer. I'm actually glad you asked, because I think people look at these check boxes, just go, yeah, just let me get going. And there are times you might not want to say yes. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Oh, my goodness. Am I mistaken, Big Pee-wee? Are we almost done? This can't be. This can't be. This show went too fast. This weekend went too fast. Well, thank you for allowing me to be myself. That's all I can say. 8888 Ask Leo, last segment of the show. Chris in Los Angeles. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Leo. I'm a disabled vet, and I appreciate your help.
Thank you. I'm glad to help you. What can I do? And thank you for your service.
Yesterday, I started up my laptop, my Toshiba, that's running Windows 7 Home Premium.
Mm-hmm.
And as normal, the blue screen came up. I put in my password, and instead of logging on, it says the user profile service, which is repeated twice. The user profile service failed the log on.
That always bothers me when I see grammatical errors in messages. Right? That's strange. Okay.
Yeah, it makes me think that maybe this is not real. That maybe it's been hacked. And but I wanted to ask you about that. The second line is the user profile cannot be loaded. Then after about 2 minutes, the screen will cycle off and come back onto the log-on screen, so I can't get in. And then while I was waiting to talk to you, it occurred to me that maybe I should tell you about 3 years ago when I used this machine to get on the internet. Apparently, I picked something up. The machine lost a DLL file, and it wouldn't go on the internet anymore. So,
I'm wondering if this is I don't think this is a malware. I think it is a failing hard drive. Because this is about, 10 years old, this computer?
7, 6,
yeah,
something like that.
So it's Windows 7, so that means it's fairly old. Windows 10's been out for 5 years, so it's at least 5 years old. And it's, I presume, a spinning hard drive, an HD inside?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's not SD.
The single most common cause of this kind of thing, of failure, is a hard drive that's getting flaky. And so your user profile is on the hard drive, and it needs to load that, obviously. You can try starting in safe mode.
I did that.
And what happened?
I guess it worked in safe mode. It came up.
That's a good sign, yeah.
Okay. But I couldn't...
It wouldn't be your login, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, I can't get the full. One of the things I use, I'm embarrassed to say this to you, but I use it to play games.
That's not embarrassing. What do you think a computer's for, my friend? I don't think there'd be half as many computers in the world if the people didn't play games on them. So I won't say what the other half is doing with them. So if you can boot it in safe mode, that is commensurate with a corrupt profile. You can try to fix it. There are in theory, registry hacks you can use. I'm looking at one. I hate to say, go into the registry edit. And
I've done it in the past, but because of basically my disabilities, I'm not as sick as I used to be, but I'm not as sharp as I was.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Yeah.
No, I doubt if you do. I listen to you talk, and I have to be careful not to be jealous of you, because all of your, and I don't mean to make you get a big head, but not only are you a whiz at the computers, but you speak very well. You're a great communicator, which I think that's a rare set of savant type qualities to have.
That's very kind of you.
I'm thinking about Edward Snowden and all the good that he's done, and
wow,
another person who could have used his abilities in a way that was less beneficial than he has.
Yeah,
and I appreciate him as well. And that's from a disabled vet. I know people disagree about that, but
No, I think I agree with you. I think you're right. I understand the controversy around it, but I think we wouldn't have known how pervasive our own government spying on us was without Mr. Snowden. So,
sure.
Yeah, and I do believe that he tried to whistleblow in a legitimate way,
right,
and was turned back, and so felt like he had no other choice. It's a shame, but and it's controversial.
Not only that, but I just watched the movie Snowden that Alex Jones was talking about.
Isn't that something? Yeah.
It blew me away. And the thing is, when he was given the information to the reporters, he made it clear to them he didn't want things that would be destructive to the country.
He did it very responsibly, in contrast to the way WikiLeaks handled the information it gleaned. And that's something that I really respect him for. He was very careful to make sure that information did not harm U.S. interests abroad. And I thought that was a smart and I think very ethical way to handle it. But to get back to your problem, I think that in all likelihood that's a hard drive issue. You're going to have a problem in January anyway. In January, Windows 7 will no longer be supported. Microsoft will stop offering.
Actually, that doesn't matter to me because I don't use it to go on the internet anymore.
Okay, good.
So,
that's good. It wouldn't be safe to go on the internet after January with Windows 7. So as long as you don't go online with it.
On the internet 5 years ago. Because that's,
So you just play games. If you can get into.
I use it as a word processor, so because it's got a nice big keyboard, and now I'm using Chrome for internet because I don't want to have to deal with. I don't want to have to become Leo Laporte and spend all my life, working on tech.
Yeah. Well, I don't blame you. And Windows is kind of designed for people let's put it this way, with an IT department, if they don't want to do it themselves. So you could put another hard drive in there, back up all your data, put another hard drive in there. If you can afford it, I know you're disabled, which means money's going to be a little tight. If you can afford it.
No, I've actually got plenty of money.
Oh, good.
The government's good to me.
Good. Well, thank goodness.
Taxpayers are good to me.
Well, thank goodness you earned it. Maybe a Chromebook is a good solution for you. It would be secure. If this ever happens with a Chromebook, it's very simple to recover it. You never lose any data. Now, what games are you playing, though? That's the only issue, because...
Well, I have OCD, so that probably answers your question. Can you?
No, I don't. What games are good for people with OCD? Because I'd like to play them.
Freecell.
Freecell. Okay.
Organizing things.
Yeah. I love Freecell. Solitaire games. So
limited resources.
The difference is, Freecell is a program that runs on Windows. It won't run on a Chromebook, but there are plenty of solitaire games that run on the web. So if you were going to play, some of the hardcore, games that kids play these days, a Chromebook would not be a good choice. A Windows machine isn't much more sensible. But for something like what we call casual gaming, a Chromebook's fine. There's plenty of online solitaire games out there.
I bought a new IdeaPad, a Lenovo book.
Oh, okay.
About 3 years ago.
Oh,
I haven't opened it yet.
Okay.
So my question is, if I put this on the internet, am I going to have to do things to protect it from viruses?
Yeah, you're going to have to update it regularly, and you're just going to want to be a little careful about what you do. You've heard me talking on the show about how people get in trouble opening attachments in email, clicking on links. You just have to be a little careful about that. You don't need to install additional software. Windows.
So let me ask you specifically, if I didn't, and I hope I don't offend anybody out there, but I understand porn sites are big for viruses. And so if I didn't go on any porn sites, and if I didn't use it for email...
You can use it for email. You can don't feel like you can't use the internet. I use the internet without any... I
use the Chromebook call for the internet.
Okay, good. Perfect. That's what the Chromebook's for.
So my question is, if I happen to go on the internet with this Lenovo... It's about 3 or 4 years old, but unopened. And do I have to install software?
No, you're good. It's ready to go. Thanks to Big Pee-wee, our musical director, Kim Schaffer, for answering the phones. Thanks to you for joining me. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Have a great Geek Week. Sorry about that. I had to get out of Dodge, as they say.
No, nothing to apologize for. You were great, and I appreciate the help.
So the IdeaPad is a Chromebook. That's good.
No, the IdeaBook, I have a Chromebook working.
Oh,
and
okay.
It's just, the $200 one.
Yeah, that's fine. So
but I
do
have
that for anything that worries you, like getting online. If that Windows machine, if you have your recovery disks, one thing you could do is start.
I didn't do that. I didn't do that. I was so ill.
Yeah.
When I bought this.
Do you have the serial number? Is it on the bottom of the laptop or?
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, so if you have the serial number, you can download a fresh copy of Windows 7, erase the hard drive, format the hard drive, and start over. And that may fix it because it will avoid using parts of the disk that aren't reliable. But it may even be that, and this does happen with hard drives, it's starting to fail. And if that's the case, then you have a couple of choices. You could go out and get a new hard drive for that Toshiba.
Well, let me interrupt you because your time is valuable, and I appreciate it. If because money is not a problem for me right now.
This would be a good time to get a new computer, if you ask me.
So that's what I was going to say. If I wanted to get a new computer and I wanted to go with Linux and
nice
and Tor, Firefox and all that, and I wanted it loaded on there and like encrypted so it's all private. Because this is going to, I kind of am involved in fighting the government about child abuse, kind of like as a whistleblower, and so I'm kind of.
So here's what I can recommend. There's a company, System 76. It's at system76.com. They make very good Linux computers. It comes with Linux pre-installed, so you don't have to do anything. It comes with actually my favorite flavor right now of Linux, which is called Pop OS. Comes with Firefox. You can put Tor on it easily. Put a VPN on it, whatever you want to do for security. Linux is inherently secure, but there are a number of places.
I don't know how to do the VPN.
Don't worry, because the very first thing you do when that box comes, you unpack it. It's secure out of the box, but then if you go online and search for how to secure, in fact, I have a bookmark to a site. My first 15 minutes on an Ubuntu computer. I'll put that link in the show notes. Pop OS is based on Ubuntu, so it would apply, and it's all
Ubuntu.
UBUNTU. UBUNTU.
Okay.
And this is my first 10 minutes on a server. But it would apply to you too. It's a primer for securing Ubuntu, and I'll put that in the show notes. I just did. If you refer to that as you get it out of the box, you just go through those little switches. You'll really lock it down. And at that point,
that's the name of your article. My first 10 minutes on a server.
My first 30 minutes. No, I'm sorry, 10 minutes on a server. And it has links to other things. This is actually from. It's about Ubuntu, but as I said, it could apply to Pop OS. It's good information about how to secure a computer. Some of it's server-specific. You won't care about SSH keys and things like that, but it's good to know. And there are a number of articles like that. If you Google secure Ubuntu or secure Pop OS, there are plenty of articles on how to lock it down.
So it's either Ubuntu or Pop OS?
So the way it works, it's kind of crazy. But it started as Debian, which is a community-driven Linux distribution, a very, very good one I really love. The folks at Ubuntu took Debian, dressed it up a little bit. They changed a few things. They call it Ubuntu. The folks at System 76 said, all right, we're going to take Ubuntu, which is based on Debian, and we're going to make Pop OS based on Ubuntu, based on Debian. Pop OS is easily the smoothest, simplest, best configured version of Linux out there. They really have an investment because they sell Linux computers. They've done a brilliant job. So if you get a System 76 computer, I think you'll see they have a variety of sizes, shapes, and I think they're very good quality, and they're fairly affordable. If you get a System 76 computer, you'll be using Pop OS, but anything that applies to Debian or Ubuntu, for the most part, will apply to Pop OS. They're all kind of...
And can I call them and ask them to say partition the hard drive so that I could run, say, Windows separately?
They won't put Windows on it. But if that's what you want to do, maybe it's better to go out and buy a Windows computer because it's easy to install Pop! OS I do that on my Lenovo. My ThinkPad, it was a Windows ThinkPad with Windows 10, and probably you do want to go to Windows 10. It's going to be a lot more secure than Windows 7. You buy that ThinkPad, and then it's very easy to follow the instructions at Pop! OS on installing it as a dual boot. What I bought, which might not be a bad idea, is a 2-disc ThinkPad. It's the ThinkPad Extreme, X1 Extreme. It has 2 discs, so drive 1 is Windows, drive 2 is Pop! OS. So when I started up,
you bought that from the factory like that?
Yeah, with 2 drives, not with Linux on it, but it was easy to install it. Because it has 2 drives, you put Linux on the second drive.
Yeah, this is you talking, though. It's easy for you.
Oh, it would be easy for you because all you have to do is follow the instructions, install Linux on the second drive, and then when you boot up the machine, you press F12 for the boot manager, and you say one will say Windows, one will say Pop! OS, and you choose the one you want. It's not complicated. And then they don't interfere with one another. They're on separate disks.
Right. That's
and you don't have to do partitioning or anything.
Okay. All right.
Your Chromebook is a Linux machine, by the way.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Really, all Google did is they took Linux, they did their own custom version of Linux, and they put a Chrome browser on it, and that's Chrome OS. In fact, you can put Debian or Ubuntu on a Chromebook if you want to, using a system.
I tell you the truth, I see Google as. I'm going to tell you the truth now. When you
no, I understand.
Google is like
if you want privacy, if you want privacy, Firefox and Linux, highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Then you're not in the corporate world at all.
I don't have to install any firewall or antivirus.
It comes with a firewall. You can turn that on. You won't need an antivirus, but there's a very good open source antivirus for Linux called Clam AV. But you won't need it, honestly, because nobody's attacking Linux. They could. There are flaws. Nothing's perfect, but there's no profit in it.
Yeah, but see, that doesn't apply to me because.
Well, if you're a target, that's different. You're right.
Yes.
So Edward Snowden uses Linux.
Okay.
Now he uses a very secure version of Linux that I actually don't recommend for people who aren't Edward Snowden. Yeah.
He would say technical.
Highly technical. He likes Qubes, Qubes OS, which is the most secure, or maybe he uses Tails. He uses a Linux designed to be super secure, but you don't. That's crazy. That's I think you understand my level of technical, and you're saying Pop! OS is Pop! OS is fantastic. I recommend it now unilaterally. It's my favorite Linux.
Okay.
Okay.
I'd like to call you again
anytime, Chris,
and let you know if it worked out.
Please do. Please do. And thank you.
This extra time.
Thank you for your sacrifice for our country. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right.
I was going to say if some of the things Edward Snowden revealed weren't going on, I could feel better about my service.
I understand.
So I have mixed feelings.
I understand, but you know what? The U.S. isn't perfect, but it's the best thing we got.
It's far. Well, it is, but it's going downhill.
I know what you mean, but that's why we got to fight for it. It's the best thing we got, and there is no better alternative. So no, we're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. We've done some bad things. We've done a lot of bad things. That's why we got to fight to do the right thing.
Yep. And is your interest in Petra because you're a spiritual interest?
Not really. I'm not a spiritual guy. We're going to the Middle East. My wife is. She's very excited about going to the Middle East. We're going to see all the, Christian monuments and so forth. I'm a history buff. So for me, I'm very interested in the history of it.
Future history is.
Yeah. So there's stuff about. Is there mystical stuff about Petra?
Well, yeah. It's considered to be a place where people will go during Armageddon
in the end times. Oh boy, we might be there at a perfect timing.
Yeah, you might.
That might be just right. Hey, I appreciate it, Chris. Have a great day.
You too.
Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.